starting this video over to go over the cards that you get in the game. Here, let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just re-show these 3 force cards real quick. You get one of these for each faction. The Zentradi, you get to basically recover battle pods for free every turn if they die in line of sight of a Glog. Earth Defense Force gets to have officers continue to shoot as long as they're killing stuff. And the Malcontents get some morale rule, and they get aggressive after they see commanders die and stuff like that. And then you get 3 cards for the Zentradi and 3 for the RDF. This is your Armored Destroyed Squadron. You get your 4 Tomahawks over here. 1 squadron consisting of 4 Tomahawks, 80 points, you know, nice pretty artwork. However, this is a big card, and I know why. They tried to break it into, you know, big cards, medium cards, and these smaller cards. And I see why they did it. And this is one of the things that games kind of do to try to make it easy to build your force. However, look at this card, and look, I mean, the artwork's nice, but it's a huge amount of artwork. And then a little bitty area to write down, you know, you got to cross in these little bitty circles, and if you're using a felt pen or whiteboard marker, it's pretty tight. I mean, it's going to be hard to fill those in. I'm not 100% sure how you're supposed to do the circles for the missiles. I think you put like a number in there every time you fire it or something, which again, it's pretty small. And I would have rather have seen, I guess, those suck up a much larger area of the card. They do have identification numbers inside, so you know which one you're hitting. A squad identifier would have been nice too, because, you know, you could have 3 or 4 of these squads in a game, or squadrons. So that's, and here's another thing. The cards, I'm really unhappy with the materials. They're kind of shiny, and I think you can use a whiteboard marker on them. I will try and post in one of my updates if it works or not. But they're kind of flimsy, and I mean, they kind of have a laminate on them, but these are some Alpha Strike cards I printed up myself, and they tend to have a little bit more durability to them. And I printed this up with one of these online printing companies after last year's Gen Con. And here's the new Alpha Strike cards, which are a little bit flimsy, but they have a little better coating on them. So I know you can write on these, and I think they're durable enough. And here's some actual playing cards, which are about the same as the Alpha Strike cards I made. But these things are a little bit too thin. They almost feel like a paper. If you look down here, maybe when I was opening it, you can hurt them. So my recommendation is, as soon as you get these, cut them out very, very carefully, and then get the full sheet, front and back laminate on all of them. And that'll help protect it and keep the cards good for a long time. Because if you play with these a dozen or 2 dozen times, these cards are going to break down on you very quickly. So that's, and again, I'm not real happy with the design. I'll probably try to redesign some myself with some more room for things. But that's enough for the card quality. I'll go over what's on the rest of them. That was your Destroyed Squadron. Here's an Aerial Denial Destroyed Squadron, which just has a couple of defenders instead. You get nice cool little upgrades in here, so you can turn your guns into anti-aircraft guns. And then let's see, we got a Valkyrie Squadron, which, you know, of course, it's a Valkyrie. Lots and lots of armor, which, because the RPG has that. Again, you get lots of little, it says built-in upgrades, which is kind of misleading. I think it should say optional upgrades, and then you mark which ones you have, or optional upgrade, and then in parentheses, choose one. Because, well, I guess you can have a couple of these, but the top 3 you can't really mix up, because they all use the pylons. The bottom one, I mean, you can have those lasers on anything, but semantics. And again, there's just not a lot of room on the card to fill in those circles. I mean, it'll work, but it's not going to be optimal, and it's going to make it a little bit harder. Here's your Regaled Attack Squadron, which is, you know, got your Glog in there. Again, you get your little upgrades and 9 Glogs for that guy, and that's the same price as 4 Destroids. So the Destroids are outnumbered 2.5 to 1, which in some cases they need it, in other cases they don't. Here's a Recon Squadron, which just a few less Destroids, or a few less Regalts, and one of them is a Scout Regalt. And of course some new abilities. And finally, there is just a Regalt Attrition Squadron. So you Tyranid guys that just love throwing Gene Stealers or Tremagnants on the board, hey, here you go. You can just, for a little, you can put 12 Regalts on the board for every Destroyed Squadron. So a 3-to-1 ratio, which at range sucks, but in close combat, they will win. Now let's go over the larger cards. And I'm not sure exactly how these work out in the game. I haven't read the rules that closely. I'm sure other people can chime in. But I'm pretty sure it's you take those big units, and then these are additional units to them, and then, well, sorry, these are the cards that tell you the stats. Sorry, so in the game you would take like this big card, and then you would add one of these little cards, which I can't find because I need it right now. You would add one of these to it to like reinforce it. And then here's my other problem with the cards. So you have each card or each model type has its own card. And these model types, here's your VF1S, you have, your speed in all three modes, and your piloting, your gunnery, and your defense, and your artwork. And this is fine for the detail it gives out, but then you have to flip them over for all the weapon stats. So really everything you need for every Valkyrie on the table is on this one little card, and that's all great, but when you're playing the game, you're usually looking at these cards. And that's where your armor is. So now it's like you have to look in 2 to 3 different places to find all the numbers you need. So I'm not real happy with these stats here not being on the cards. And I know why they did it. They ran out of room. I mean, if you have, let's see here. Let's go back to the Valkyrie card. If you have this card and you have 4 of these Valkyries on here, plus all the optional stuff, well, where do you fit all this? And you really can't. But here's the thing, these card backs are that color. And there's enough room to at least fit 2 cards worth of data back here. So if you drop the art, you could probably fit a lot of the weapon stuff back there. So I think the card design could have been a little bit better. I'm not real happy with it, but I can make my own and I'll be okay. And hopefully we'll see improvements in that ideas and the way that they design those in the future. So here's all of your REF static models that you get in the game and their stats. And I'm not going to review the game model or mechanics right now. I'll do that in a little bit, but here's the back of these cards. Let's see. Try to make them focus. Okay, well, y'all should be able to read those. And I'll get better shots up at some point. And now we have the Zentradi equivalents, which they don't have as many model types, I guess. Well, only because of the Valkyrie heads. But here you go. You get your Regault, your Glog, your Quell, Regault, Quell, Ghoul now, I guess. I don't know how to say this stuff. Same deal. You got all your other stats on the back. I guess it shows you your MDC down here, too, which is the circles on the front of the cards. So all these special abilities and stuff that everybody's familiar with now with games. And then, let's see. I'll go ahead and go into the other big cards you get, which are like the hero cards. And I was surprised to see as many of these as we got. So, I mean, that's 9 cards for the Zentradi, 9 special units. And they have all sorts of interesting abilities. These are basically upgrade cards. And they have specific things that they can do on the back. And this is for all your heroes in the game. And you do get a Myria that's Zentradi and another Myria that was RDF. So that was kind of cool. And her and Max work better together than alone. So that's a cool little add-on to the game that'll keep the units a little bit more unique and allow you to kill Ben Dixon over and over and over again, which is something we all want to do. If only they had a Minmay card, I could just make her my objective to kill in every single game. And again, you get another 9 cards for the RDF. Same artwork for Myria, though. That kind of stinks, I guess, because it is a different Myria, but oh well, no big deal. The artwork's straight from the cartoons. It looks great. That guy being in an armored Veritech's kind of weird, unless they actually provided rules for it, which they did not. But anyway, so that's nice. So I mean, you have the base game comes with 5 different Valkyries, and all 5 of them can be unique heroes in some way or another. So you can actually redo the whole Skull Squadron deal. And now we'll go over all these little bitty cards that are the add-ons. Looks like the REF has quite a few more of these, or the UEDF, whatever you want to call them. So again, it's kind of the same way. These are little bitty cards, and you get little bitty circles, and oh my goodness, the Glog Eldar is even smaller. And you don't even get a Glog Eldar in the game, so that card's really kind of technically not even useful right now. Yeah, well, I guess you do get stats for it, and well, you don't have a miniature for it, but you could just use the Glog and say it's an Eldar, I guess. And there's all your little, again, these just have logos on the back. So those are the 4 little cards you get. And now with the actual RDF, you get a whole bunch more cards by leaps and bounds. I'll lay all these out. It'll take me a second. And now, speaking of hurting these cards, one of these cards actually fell down on my bed and I put my elbow on it. So I creased it up. I think I've fixed the crease since then, but if you notice the little white cracks along the edge, I mean, these things just do not have a lot of durability. So it accidentally gets folded once, that's it, it's gone. You know, you have a big white line across it forever. So again, laminate these suckers as soon as you get them. It's not that big of a deal. It's only going to take you maybe 4 or 6 sheets of laminate to get them all, get a nice thick cardstock laminate. So here's all your upgrades there, and again, these things are small. Well, here you have supers, which there's no super miniature, but I mean, there is super, the stats are in the book. This is for your command stuff, a VF1S, all that neat little stuff. So that's what you're going to get in the box sets, the base box set. Now, those of us that did the Kickstarter get this plus a bag in each big cardboard box we're going to be receiving with this box set in it, of the Battlecry add-ons, which are, you know, the Roy Fokker and all the little special stuff that we got. And I guess excluding the Wave 2 things. Now just, let me see. Now there were 2 exclusives, just to go ahead and I guess throw them in here, that were at Gen Cons. There's the Max that was at both Gen Cons in metal. I'm not real happy with the figure. I think he just looks goofy. He looks like he's trying not to step on something. And there's a Miria, which there's also a metal one. And these were all sold for $20 each at Gen Con, which is kind of sad to see them go for $50 on eBay the day after. But here's the plastic Miria, or the resin Miria. She doesn't have her hip plates on or the top antenna, but everything else is there. And this was the resin one sold at the first Gen Con, and this one they had like 30 or so metal ones, which were just huge. And I wouldn't want to drop it on my glass table here because that would be the end of a glass table. So anyway, that's my unboxing, and here I'll go ahead and flip through the rule book for you so you can see a little bit of that, even though I've got pictures everywhere. So I took pictures of the rules and some of the stuff in here. I mean, this is a pretty well put together book. Great artwork throughout. It's all artwork. There's no model pictures, which is fine because it's good looking artwork. It's all got the same look and feel. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. You get decal sheets too, which are pretty good. There's a lot of little options on each one, little numbers and identifying marks and warning symbols. And the Zentradi have a bunch of little, I don't know, words that probably, I would hope, say something in Zentradi. I think we have a language alphabet converter somewhere. If not, then it's just random words, which are fine for your miniatures. I don't think anybody out there reads Zentradi like they do Klingon. It looks like the plastic's kind of coming off of these. Now, these were loose in the box, which was kind of, I don't know, it seems like it'd be prone to damaging them. I think they should just try to stick those in the books like I had just done. And you have stats for every single unit, even the units that aren't in this. Every single unit they've announced in Wave 1 and 2 is in this book. The rules are pretty simple. They're quick. They're well written. There's a line of sight rule in there that people are just freaking out over because, you know, if you were to place a, you know, 2 units like this and you had something this thin between them and you drew a line between these 2 units, well, since it goes from middle to middle, people couldn't see it. But that's just flat out stupid. Nobody's going to play that way. I mean, just nobody's going to play that way. Everybody knows if you can see it, you can see it. If it's from base to mostly base, I mean, otherwise, well, I'm going to use a fishing line because it's thinner than my string. I mean, anyway, people on Kickstarter getting to me, I guess, or on the comment section. That'll be it. I'm going to go ahead and make another video since I've got a bunch of the plastic models to compare the plastic models to these sprues, and I'll post a link up to that somewhere or another. But anyway, that's it for me. Again, I'm Bad Syntax. I'm around. You can Google me, find all sorts of stuff. I'm mostly Battletech, but I might end up converting over to Robotech soon. We'll see. Anyway, talk to you later. Enjoy the game, and then try to stay positive, please. It doesn't really matter if you're negative or not. You're still going to get the game. You're going to get all this great plastic. You're going to get all these great miniatures that everybody wanted and everybody was dying for a year and a half ago when the Kickstarter was going on. And now that it's a little bit late, which most Kickstarters are late, and there's been problems with communication and stuff, which all sucked, but you know what? It's coming out, so it doesn't really matter what's happened in the last year when you have all this stuff in hand because that's what you wanted. And I'm sure whenever they do the next Kickstarter for the REF or Invid or whatever it's going to be, it'll be much more smooth. Anyway, I will see you around online. Enjoy.